Hello, everybody. Welcome to the God Pop podcast. Today, I have a return guest to the show, and that is my friend Candace Estelle. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, buddy. And what are we talking about
Well,
today?
well, my friend, we are going to talk about some other friends that we have both had for many, many years, and that is Ross, Rachel, Joey, Monica, Phoebe, Chandler. Did I say Did I miss anybody?
You missed Chandler,
Oh my
which
God!
is
I
kind
thought
of
I said Chandler at
unfortunate.
the end. I was maybe probably mumbling, but
You
anyway.
started, you said, Chan, did I miss anybody? And I just thought, how on
Okay.
brand for Chandler?
Well, and those are the main characters from the classic television show Friends. So yes, this is the one about Friends,
This
all
is
about
the
Friends.
one about friends.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited because, you invited me here because we had a chat last week as friends, amigos, if you will. And
Yes.
and we were talking about Friends, and I was saying how I basically watched it my entire life. It came out about a year after I was born.
I think I was like a year and a half old when it was born, something like that.
Is that how math works? Because if that's the case, my sir, you are aging horribly.
Thanks. All right, I'm the same age as David Schwimmer. So I was in my was I sort of getting into my late 20s when the show premiered.
Was he
So
in his late 20s when the show premiered?
let me see. Yeah, I think so. It premiered in 1994. I was, I think, 27 or 28 when it premiered.
Oh, you know what's funny is in my head, I just thought late 20s is only 29. And I think that's because before I turned 30s, my thought was just like, I'm not in my late 20s. I'm not in my late 20s. And then I was at 29 and I was like, this is the latest 20 I can be. So now I'm technically in my late 20s. I forget that technically, like math wise, it's 26 to 29 is late 20s.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, depending on where you are in your life, you're probably going to view it differently every time you get to that point.
I feel like I'm about to have an existential crisis because my brain just went, and you'll never be there again. It got dark so quick.
Sorry. I want to talk about that mug you have there. That is pretty impressive, my friend.
My Bob's Burgers mug.
Is that what it's
Because I'm a
from?
pop culture queen. It's not from it, but it is why I bought it. I bought
Oh,
it and
okay.
I thought, oh, I'm doing a Bob's episode for sure. Eventually, actually, I'll do one per season. So I'll do like at least 14 so far.
Wow. I've
And
eventually
it's
got to
just,
try that. We've talked about this before, but
but we'll do it together. Like when you are ready to dive in, like every
okay.
single time you do a season, we'll get on the phone for like half an hour and I'll be like, my crotch is itchy. And you'll get that and it won't be creepy.
Okay, well, that's something to look forward to then.
It
I'm looking
is.
forward
It
to
is.
that. Okay, well, I like your mug a lot. I want to show the audience, except for you Audible only people, because you're missing out here on our great mugs. This is mine. I am drinking tea right now, so I'm drinking my You Are Tea-rific.
Now, here's an actual friend's mug.
Oh, if you're worried about your caffeine intake, that's a good mug to have.
You
Keep
know,
it nice and tight.
I
You
actually
know,
don't do caffeine.
no, not at all.
No, because of the ADHD. If I do it, I feel like
Oh.
I'm about to die.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now that's something we could talk about off air because I found that too. That's very beneficial for me. I've cut down on my coffee intake because I have ADHD too, folks,
Yeah.
and that's helped me tremendously.
I
So,
wake up like this too, where I'm like, and then everyone in my house, which is two cats and a dog, are just like, lady, no.
I went to all tea for a while and had no coffee, but now I just have one coffee in the morning. Then it's tea from there on out.
Oh, okay. I don't like coffee as just like a taste thing either. I've never been a coffee drinker. So, like, I've never been someone dependent on caffeine in any regard. Tea has caffeine and can
Yeah.
have
Oh, I
quite a
know.
bit.
Yeah.
And I'll get jittery sometimes. I love tea. I have like at least 100 different teas in my kitchen. Yes, in my kitchen. I was like, is
Wow.
that the right place? That's the tea place? Yes, I have at least
You
100
don't keep
different
them in the
teas.
bathroom or the closet. It's
I'm having a day, man. It's because I don't do the caffeine. But
so
yeah,
it's all
no,
decaf tea.
no,
Oh, oh, okay.
because I go to this place that I love that's like a tea place and it's got all these artisanal teas, and they're all over the place. And it's like different dried blends. And then based on smell, I'll be like, love it. And that's what I'll buy. And sometimes those are black teas or those are very strong green teas. And then all of a sudden, I'm having a panic attack. It's like,
Like I said, panic attack.
a panic attack. Yeah. Some days I can handle caffeine okay, like tea caffeine. I've
Hmm.
never done coffee. Sometimes I try matcha because I just like it. And
Yeah, it's
then
good.
I legitimately will have an existential crisis like every single time. And I don't know what it is about caffeine in my body, but it gets me closer to the afterlife plane. And I just start thinking about everything.
Oh
And it's,
my.
yeah.
Probably best for you to not have a lot of that then.
I try not to. And now I'm more cognizant where I'll read it and I'll be like, black tea. I'm not having that at 8 p.m. Once I drank a pot of tea that I had made green tea because we were having, my ex and I were having like, I think, Chinese food. And I was like, I'll be on theme and I'll make his green tea. And then he was like, I don't want any. And I just
Huh.
thought, okay. And I drank a liter of
Oh
green
wow.
tea around 6:30. And I didn't go to sleep that night.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Hey, I
And
wanted to
that's what
ask
I
you
get for
something.
not being wasteful. Yes, please.
You showed me and the audience that tiny little mug. Now, where did that
Yes.
little tiny mug come from, Candace Estelle?
Well, you know where it came from? It came from my very dorky hobby of absolutely adoring Legos. And I actually happen to have a friend's Lego set that I put together.
That is
So
pretty amazing.
I wanted to share with you guys
And be
very
careful.
quickly. Yeah, because it's so precarious. But welcome to Lego Central Perk, you
That
guys.
is fantastic.
So
Wow.
we've got Rachel, this is Joey. You'll notice he has a pizza and he has his satchel from, the season where he has his man bag. We've got
And Joey doesn't share
Monica.
food either, so I mean.
No, that's why he's got the whole pizza to himself. We've got Monica, Ross, we've got our Chandler, the Chan Chan man, his little briefcase for
Oh, that's
being a
fantastic.
transmonster. And we've got
Wow.
Phoebe here with her guitar and her microphone that is turned away from her because she's horrible. Um, and then if you look in the corner, we've also got Gunther. Yeah. So I've got the
Wow.
whole little Central Perk here. Let
I
me see if I
love
can
that. Absolutely
cheat it.
love that.
It actually does say Central Perk here, and it says Central Perk over here by the piano. It's like the little menu. So yeah, I have Legos all over my house. Actually, I have most of the Lego Botanic set because I'm in love with flowers. And so they last year round.
Oh, that's
The
great.
Lego flowers. But I also have the Thanos glove from
Oh, really?
Infinity War. Yep, I did that one. I have the Infinity Gauntlet.
Wow.
And yeah, I love Marvel. And I have my friend's set. So
That's
if you were to
fantastic.
look in my house, I think it would be very obvious what type of person I am, which is someone who loves flowers. And
And might be a little on the dorky side.
well, you know what? I'm nerdy. I'm an engineer by day, so is what it is.
And I
I'm
meant
a
dorky in the most complimentary way possible because anyone who has watched or listened to the show knows I am a dork.
I mean, not only am I a nerd, but like I fully embrace it. I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that. I'm the most deadly DM for my D&D campaigns that I have done. I've got my Legos. This didn't I didn't have to put this together to do this episode with you. I had it. Okay? So
And
like,
you've had that. You told me off air. You've had that quite a while.
oh yeah, I built it a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
So for the last probably at least 5 years on my birthday, because my birthday is so close to Christmas. So usually no one wants to hang out because it's the holidays. And so I'll sit
That's
at
what they tell you,
home.
huh?
Well, you know what? That's what I'm gonna listen to, because if not, I'm just gonna have to drink some black tea and pretend that's the reason I'm upset. Um,
Well, no, yeah, but please continue. I'll
Well,
stop you.
yeah, no. So I build a Lego set almost every year, either on my birthday or on Christmas Day is great, like
Yeah,
because I'll pre-cook some stuff and then I'll build my Legos and watch TV, or on New Year's Eve because going out is for the birds. I think I
yeah.
have to go out this year because someone is visiting me from the
Oh,
States, and we're gonna go to Paris for New Year's. Um,
That's
So I
not the
did
worst thing in
request.
the world.
I'm not
I'm like
upset
you though.
about it.
Preferably, I prefer to stay in, away from all the maniacs on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. But I feel like it's gonna be really cool, like, bringing in New Year's in Paris, which is a wonderful tie-in back to Friends because that show does end with Rachel supposedly going to Paris, or she's
That's right.
supposed to.
Yeah.
So,
Y-
let's
And you,
dive in, okay?
let's dive in. And well, we might. I'll just say real quick because it's related. You talked about New Year's Eve, and that made me think of a classic episode where Ross and Monica wanted to be on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, what their
Yeah.
dad said. So it's hard for me to ever turn on that show every New Year's Eve and not think of that episode. But what we're
The
gonna do
routine?
here, huh?
The routine.
Yeah. Oh God, the routine. Yeah, you gonna do it on camera or?
You saw how little space there is just for me to get into my chair, so I don't think I'll be jumping into anyone's arms, and if I did, it'd be my cat who's not we're not on speaking terms right now, so
Yeah, folks, you don't know, but there was a little incident before we started recording, and
yeah,
that was a
Sir Charlie
little.
Pancakes is bad.
But what we're going to do here, my beloved audience, is we're going to go through the whole 10 seasons of the show, and we're going to share some favorite episodes of ours. I'm going to share one for season one. Candace will share one for season one, and so on and so on and so on. But we're going to start together and talk about the very first episode, the pilot episode, which was entitled The One Where Monica Gets a Roommate. And I just rewatched this one the other day, and I'll tell you, it has held up incredibly well. I mean, it was one of the best pilot episodes I think I've ever seen of a show.
Oh, absolutely. So, like, for me personally, obviously, I couldn't tell you the first time I saw that episode, right? Who knows? It's literally a part of my life. What I can tell you is that my ex, I introduced him to Friends in a way, and I had restarted it at one point and put on the pilot, and he's laughing the whole time. And I was like, "Well, you wanna watch the show with me?" And he goes, I don't know how far you are in, like, I don't know, and I was like, "That was the pilot," and he, has a degree in film. So he
Oh,
goes,
okay.
"That was the pilot?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That is a really strong pilot,
It
like,
was an
oh my god,"
incredibly
and I
strong
was
pilot.
like, yeah, because sometimes I feel like my admiration for the show is colored by nostalgia, and there are some storylines that I tolerate due to the nostalgia,
Hmm.
but knowing that the pilot and he's a critic, like,
He's tough
he
on
bitches
things.
about
Yeah.
everything, okay? So, like, the fact that he was like, "Oh, whoa," is really good, and, like, to give background for someone like him, I love Gilmore Girls, I watch that almost every year, and he pretends to hate it every year, but he would watch it and he
Hmm.
would laugh. He would laugh, I can hear him laughing, and he'll pretend like he's not watching, and he'd be like, and then go back and be like, "No, I hate that." So for him to even admit that he liked it is a good sign.
And yeah, it was. I was kind of. I've seen that first episode so many times, and rewatching it the other day, I was kind of blown away just by just how on point it was with all the humor and the characters. One thing I noticed in it that I actually read about a little bit more later on was that Joey was a little bit different in the first episode, where he was a little bit meaner in some of his jokes with others. And I read an interview with Matt LeBlanc later on, where he said he actually talked to the producers about that. He was hoping that they would tone Joey down a little bit because he was a little snarky towards some of the others at different points in that. And he said, "Why would any of these people be friends with me if I'm always being mean to them?" So they, after that first episode, I think they changed him a little bit. It wasn't, overboard mean, but just he was the character I think that maybe changed the most from that first episode.
I mean, you can't be hot and mean. You can, but you're not gonna stay beloved. Now, what I will say with Joey in particular is that he got that sitcom treatment, whereas the show went on, he became dumber.
Yeah.
And that's a little frustrating because especially in season 1, like season 1, it's amazing that these people didn't already have that chemistry and everything wasn't already put together because season 1, like, they're them, There's not
Hmm.
that awkwardness that you have usually for the first season or 2.
Yeah.
They're them. And then they kind of end up being I feel like the show got a lot more dramatic as it went on, a lot more dramatic storylines, and then some people kind of became caricatures of themselves. and I think that most sitcoms are guilty of that. And the character who most became a caricature of himself, in my opinion, for this show is Joey.
Yeah, I agree.
The French storyline when Phoebe tries to teach him French and he's horrible, and I was like,
Yeah.
what did he get dropped on his head at some point? Did he fall out of a window? What is going on here?
And I love Joey, but I agree with you there. They made him too dumb at times. And I was happy towards, I think it was season 8 and 9, where they gave him the storyline where he was crushing on Rachel. And then, they started having a relationship. And you saw a deeper side they were showing a deeper side of Joey in a lot of those episodes that I thought, okay, they're giving him a little bit more depth here. And when it was announced that he was going to be the character that was spun off into a new show, which ended up being Joey, I was hoping they were going to go in that vein. But they made him even more dumb in the spin-off show. I don't know if you ever saw it, but I think
I
it was a
feel like I
bad
saw the
direction to go
first
in.
episode.
It was okay at times, but it was just, generally pretty disappointing.
Oh, no, I know, and it's one of
Yeah.
those things, like, didn't they get, like, Drea de Matteo to be one of his sisters?
Yeah, and I didn't like her character at all.
We've met all of his sisters, and he moves to LA?
Yeah, he moves to LA to really focus on his acting career, and because his sister and his nephew are out there.
It's
A-
one of those times where it's just like, leave a good thing alone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like anyone, I had hopes for it, and some episodes were good, but I don't know, it got a little too silly, and they made him too dumb. But that could be a whole another episode. But let's go back to this pilot. Yeah, there were just so many good things in there. I mean, of course, the first time we meet Rachel, she is running into Central Perk. She had just run away from her wedding. She was supposed to marry Barry, the dentist, and
Orthodontist, sir.
oh, I'm sorry, the orthodontist Barry, and I was surprised watching this how much of it I remembered, because I probably haven't seen this episode. I think the last time I saw it was 7 or 8 years ago, because my wife Lisa had never watched Friends when it was originally on. So we decided I'm like, okay, why don't you try it? And she was reluctant at first, probably because of all the hype. You hear everyone talk about, Friends being one of the best shows ever. I think she was afraid she was going to be let down by it. But she started watching it with me. I think at that point it was on Netflix, so we had easy access to it. And we were just binging it like crazy. And she loved it like crazy, just like I did, which was wonderful. And but yeah, I rewatching this episode just 2 days ago. I was like, oh my god, I remember like the conversation with Rachel and her father on the phone, where she's comparing herself to a shoe, and she's like,
You're a shoe.
yeah, she's like, it's a metaphor, Daddy, because it was just really good, and there was so much great stuff with Chandler and Joey. One of my favorite Chandler moments actually is in this episode, and that is when Joey is sort of he's sort of hitting on Rachel a little bit, and he's playing up the fact that he's an actor, and he says that he was in Pinocchio, he played Pinocchio on stage, and you see Chandler like mocking him for that. Yeah, he's doing all this stuff with his hands. I'm just a wooden boy. He's like dancing, running out of the apartment, and the first time I saw that, I was just dying laughing. And you want to know something funny though, my friend?
Absolutely.
The first time I watched the show, I wasn't sure I was going to watch it again. I
Really?
I don't think all right. I just said that the first time I saw that I was dying laughing, but I think I don't think I watched the first episode in its entirety, because at that time, mid-90s, like I said, I'm the same age as these characters. You wouldn't remember this because you were what, 2? But
I was 1, sir. Don't age me out of that.
I apologize, but so much in the media was like really ripping into my generation, which is Generation X, where we were often portrayed as like slackers, always hanging out in coffee houses and not really doing too much. And the first couple of scenes you see are them, going back and forth a conversation in the coffee house. And I'm just like, oh my God, are they playing up every stereotype about my generation right now? Where I was kind of a little turned off by it. And also, I didn't like Matthew Perry from some other sitcom he had been in prior to that, which I can't remember the name of it now.
Blasphemy. Oh my
I know,
God.
I know. But you know what turned me on to the show?
Mouth.
I don't think I watched I think I turned it off and I didn't try it again for another few weeks. But one of my best friends at the time, he loves pop music like I do. And he's like, man, have you been hearing that theme song for that new show, Friends? He goes, you would love it. You would love it. And I don't know. He got a copy of it or something, and he played it for me. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I got to tune into the show. And then I'm watching them, dancing around in the opening credits to the Rembrandts. I'll be there for you. And I'm like, oh, look at them. They're having a lot of fun. This does look like it could be good. So I gave it another chance. Loved it. And that was what, 30 years ago this year? Yeah. I think we are probably right now around the 30th anniversary of the show starting.
Yeah, it probably syndicated in September if we're
Yeah.
thinking about how TV works. So we're
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
at like legitimately 30 years. Um, yeah. So I have no idea though. Like for me, because like I said, it was my mother's favorite show.
Hmm.
And so it's been incepted into my life. And it was one of those things where I was like, do I actually like this? Or is it just nostalgia? It's like it's so comforting. This has to be basically one of the first shows I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I would think
Like,
so.
what a way to start out, right? Something
Yeah.
that's has this much longevity. We talked about the fact that I'll be in Boston at the end of the month, and I'll be going to the Central Perk pop-up that they have at that time.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I don't drink coffee.
I'm sure they'll have other beverages there,
I
Candace.
hope so. I hope they have a little hot chocolate, but I'm going for the nostalgia bit, and I just think that that's really, like what a wonderful thing to have created to know that for 3 decades,
Hmm.
that's presidents and wars and
Yeah.
birth and death and the changing of a millennium and everything like that. And we still love these 6 people.
Yeah, I know. It's really amazing. I think that's, I mean, and it's held up so very well. I know younger people who discover the show all the time because it's out there. It's never left being in syndication. I doubt it ever will. All the episodes are available on Max, and I think like TBS or someone here shows it every day, like several episodes in a row. They have their big blocks. Like you watch an hour and a half of Friends, and it's never gone away. And you have the enduring popularity of someone like particularly Jennifer Aniston, who's still a big movie star and TV star. And I think, maybe people who just saw her in some movie with Adam Sandler will check out Friends, and it's going to keep getting an audience that way.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about Jennifer Aniston, then I would say, I've got small beef with her.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
adore her still. I have a very small beef with her, which is that a couple of years ago, she was real snotty about Marvel movies and how they're not real film. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
Wow.
just hate how I feel about yucking someone's yum. Like,
Yeah.
get
I mean,
off your
she's
high
right, though. I mean,
horse.
Marvel movies are. No, I'm kidding. I'm just so messing with you. Go ahead.
You were about to get I was about to curse, and I know I'm not supposed to. Like,
No,
I was
please,
about to get
please,
my infinity gauntlet and you were getting snapped, my dude.
please continue, Candace.
But yeah, no, like that kind of annoyed me. But aside from that, I really adore her. And if we're going to talk about what she's done that's good since Friends, it's the morning show.
Oh, I didn't know you were a fan. Okay.
Oh, it is so good.
It's
The
so good.
first season, like Billy
Uh-huh.
Crudup's character in the first season is the most unhinged, amazing person I have ever like.
Yeah,
I love it. But I watch so much stuff. And when I
that
see
series is amazing.
yeah, it's so good. It's about to be back.
I,
When I
well, I
see
see. I see another podcast episode happening.
hell yeah, dude. I watch everything. You could literally always we could do one a day and we won't run out of stuff. Um, but yeah,
but
no.
yeah, that's
Jennifer,
one of the best things I think she's done since
it is.
Friends.
It's so phenomenal. And it's finally showing a different range of her because
Hmm.
like sure she's in a lot of Adam Sandler stuff. She's kind of she's either got this like goofy where she's not goofy. He always makes her the shrew. And
Hmm.
I find that so annoying as a trope, especially as a woman. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on. So she's either the shrew or she was the ingenue. And now she's neither of those in the morning show. And I love that because throughout a lot of Friends, she's the ingenue. And when she
Hmm.
finally has her own and does her own thing, it's really cool, but it's not most of the show.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not all of the time.
Yeah. Her character grows so much throughout the series, and we're going to cover that, I think, with some of the episodes that we choose as our favorites. One
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to ask you about, though, about the pilot was I noticed something in there. Maybe you'll disagree with me on this, but there is a prominent part of the episode where Monica is going on a date with a guy named Paul, the wine guy. Do you remember Paul the
Of
Wine Guy?
course I do. We
Can you
gotta fuck up
envision
his
what he
watch.
looks like?
Yes.
Okay. You know who he reminds me of? It made me think of you because I know you were quite fond of this actor.
Excuse you, sir. I don't look anything like Paul the wine
No,
guy.
no, no. That's not what I said. Is that how it came out?
You said it, you know how he looks? It reminds me of you. And I was just like,
Oh yeah, there's something there. Something with your eyes. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Oh my God, it's Paul the Wine Guy. Yeah. Paul was
I
it?
took off my watch.
But anyway, no, it reminded me of you because I know you were a fan of Glenn Powell, and to me, he looks like he could be Glenn Powell's dad, Paul the One Guy.
That
I
guy
know
is
he's not.
nowhere near as cute as Glenn Powell. I remember seeing Paul the wine guy and being like, I'm pretty sure I took a dump in my diaper when he came on screen, is all I'm saying. Like, he is not look, I've got two crushes in the world. Both of them are famous people. One of them happens to be Glenn Powell.
Well, this begs
He's
a
not
question.
comparing. What's
So
the question?
who would be number two?
They're not, it's not ranking. We're not ranking
Oh,
people. It's
I
just
thought you
two
said.
different people. It's
Oh,
not like
okay.
spot one and spot
Oh,
two, but
I
I
see.
like Glenn Powell. I
Right.
think he seems like he's very cool. I'm so embarrassed that this is going to be something that goes out in the universe because I try not to be this way in public. And I don't normally, have this type of opinion. Um, Glenn Powell, personality wise, and I find him attractive. And I very much so like Zac Efron. Zac Efron seems like the biggest sweetheart, and I just love that.
He seems like a good. They both seem like. I've only seen one interview so far with Glenn Powell, but he seems like a decent person. And obviously we had done our episode about Twisters,
Yeah, and I
and
managed not to bring it up, but then you just did, like it's not a secret. What if he sees this? How embarrassing. I
I
just
know.
think you're cool, okay? And you're tall and I'm not and I like it. I don't know what to do right now.
I don't think this episode is
So
going to ruin your chances with him. Okay, I think there's still opportunity there.
well, that's not even what I was worried about. I'm just
What?
worried that he's gonna see it and think I'm a freaking dork. He's gonna see my mug, me yelling about my cat and my Legos, and he's
Well, we better move off of Glenn Powell in this first episode then. So, as I said,
gonna.
folks, we're each going to share a separate favorite from each season too. So, I would like you to share another favorite of yours from season 1 of Friends, Candace.
Ah, yes, it is the one with the boobies.
Remind me exactly what this is.
Absolutely.
Because
I'll
there's
just read
boobies
the
in every
synopsis.
episode, obviously, but
Excuse you, sir. Yeah. So this is Joey finds out his dad has a mistress, and Rachel tries to get even with Chandler, who accidentally catches a glimpse of her breast while she's showering.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
Phoebe dates a shrink that keeps analyzing the gang, and the shrink is Fisher Stevens, who I've recently enjoyed as a smarmy little jerk face in a Succession. So
Okay. I liked him in other things. He's a great actor. I forgot
he's
he
made
was in
some
Friends.
interesting choices, but he's
Yeah,
also been repentant. So I think that that's good, and
I
also
liked him on
products of their
Lost.
time.
Yeah.
I I haven't gotten there. Okay, I'm not
Oh
on the
boy.
island, so I don't have to watch it. We've talked about this. Although
Yes,
I will
yes.
tell you, because we talked about Lost too much, my phone must have heard, and so I was getting fed Lost things, and they were like, "You know how you should watch Lost so you don't get annoyed because everyone's so mad about the show." They were like, "Watch it chronologically. There's a chronological Lost catalog where you can watch it in
Oh.
chronological order, and apparently it makes so much more sense." And so I'm
Hmm.
thinking that for the first time I watch it, I'll do that just as like
That's
a thing.
interesting.
I know, I love it. But back to Friends.
Yes, yeah.
Um, yeah,
You
no,
and
I
I
love
need to watch ourselves.
I'm
Yeah.
doing my best,
You're doing
okay?
great. Yeah, go ahead.
But I love this episode because I love how earnest Joey was, where he was just like he wasn't willing to be okay with cheating.
Mhm.
That's honestly novel in the 90s. And I know
Yeah,
that that sounds
absolutely.
insane, but yeah, I loved that that was a piece of his character. Just like that's not okay, and it's my mom, and I loved all
Yeah.
of that. I kinda hated how his mom reacted, where she was like, "It's fine, he's finally nice to me, he's not yelling," and I was just like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Jesus, oh my god, the 90s." So, But my favorite part is that everyone ends up seeing everyone else naked. And I
That's
don't
right. I
know why
forgot
that
about
cracked
that.
me up so much. That's the one with the boobies, is that Chandler goes into the bathroom to do something and Rachel's showering. So he sees her nude. And then she comes out to yell at him and she's in one of those like very lightly or loosely woven blankets and she's screaming and he's like, just so you know, it's you're still
That's
peeking
right.
out here. And she's just like, oh, and then she tries to get him back. It's a tit for tat thing. But I think she ends up seeing Joey, and then Joey ends up seeing Monica, and Monica ends up seeing Joey's dad.
Oh
And I
gosh,
just found
that's
that
right. That's right.
so funny.
That was hilarious. Yes, that was a great episode.
And then, like I said, you
Excellent
have the
choice.
Fisher Stevens storyline with Phoebe, where she's dating the psychiatrist, and he's just like when he analyzes them, and she goes to break up with him, and she's just like, it's kind of creepy because he keeps analyzing them and like bumming everyone out, and he's just like, love me with your stupid big cups that should have nipples on them. I was just
Yes, yes, I forgot about that. Oh, I'll tell you, the few episodes that I watched this week to prep for this, it's another show where it's so easy to go down rabbit holes with that. I had it on and I'm intending to watch 2 episodes, and I ended up watching 4, and it's so easy to get lost in it because there's so many great moments, like the
Friends
ones
is
you
a
just
bag
talked
of
about.
chips. You cannot just have one.
Exactly, exactly. Well, that's an excellent choice, Candace. I love that episode. And my pick now with all of these, I'm not going to say they're my ultimate favorite because many of them I haven't seen in many years. But this is a favorite from the season, and this one always makes me laugh a lot. And it's the one with the stoned guy, where Monica is trying to
With
get
John
a job
Lovitz.
with John Lovitz. Yeah, John Lovitz is the owner of a restaurant that Monica is trying to become the chef at, and he goes with Phoebe to Monica's apartment because she's going to make all these, all these things for him to try. And on the way over there with Phoebe, he lit up a joint, so he's just stoned when he gets there, and it's so funny. And there's other really good other moments in that too. And one thing I noticed that kind of surprised me in that episode was, I don't know if you remember, but Ross is dating a woman and named Celia, and he brings her to his apartment. He's got Marcel, the monkey, and she's like pulling on her. Marcel's pulling on her hair and just won't let go of her. The actress who played that character was Melora Hardin, who later went on to play Jan on The Office, and she's been
Yeah.
in many things since then. She's a great actress. I like her in a lot of things. But yeah, that episode. I mean, it's good all throughout, but the bits with John Lovitz are hilarious in there.
Oh my gosh. When what is it does that he drops? I think he's trying to make himself a bowl of cereal. And then I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
does he drop gummy bears or Teddy Grahams? And then he throws the Fruit Loops or whatever. And he's like,
That's
save
exactly it. Yeah,
yourself.
first it's
Just
the gummy
save
bears in there,
yourself.
and he's like, "Oh, man overboard," and he throws in
Man
these little
overboard. But
pieces
he
of cereal.
doesn't say it nonchalantly like that. He goes, no, man overboard. And he's like trying. And I love that. It's also one of the first episodes where we really see Rachel like assert for herself
Yes,
because she is a waitress, but Monica doesn't want to hire her because she's a freaking terrible waitress.
that's
And
right.
and then Monica ends up having to because the waitress she hired falls through. Rachel advocates to make more, and then she ends up and she does a great job, and she's
Yeah.
very good for absolutely no reason because he's a total loser. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if you forgot this detail, but the reason Phoebe is who brings him is because he's a client of Phoebe's. He's
Oh,
one of
that's
Phoebe's
right.
masseuse clients.
That's right. Because I think we even see him with her at the end, don't we?
Yes, in the
Yeah.
interstitial for the credits.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff. And Phoebe had some great moments in there. Yeah, that episode cracks me up. Let's move on to the second season.
Yes,
Which
sir.
one did you choose to speak about from there?
I am taking a peek see because the second season is the one where Ross is now a dad, but it's also where we get Julie.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So, yeah, so it's got a lot going on for it.
There's a lot going on, especially after how the first season ended with, Rachel finding out about Ross's love for her. And boy, yeah, there's a lot going on in season 2.
Yeah. This is one of the ones though where like yeah, okay, here we go. It's season 2, episode 19, and it's the one where Eddie won't go.
Oh, Eddie. He is quite a character.
He's played by someone that I definitely recognize, but I never remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, let me look. Oh, Adam Goldberg.
Yes. Yeah. Very good actor. He's been in a lot.
So I don't know if you remember who this character is or what it's about, but basically Joey has gotten some success on
Days
the
of Our
soap
Lives, right?
opera that he's
Yeah.
on. Yeah, I don't remember. Is it because isn't that a real one?
It is. Yeah. And he played Dr. Drake Ramore.
But is it Days of Our Lives?
Yeah. They use the real the
They
name of a
do?
real soap opera. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they use some sort of parody name. Yes, so he's doing really well, and he decides to move out of living with Chandler. And so they're not really talking, which is really upsetting for like two whole episodes, which is weeks in,
Yeah.
90s time, but they're not talking and um Eddie ends up being Chandler's new roommate because he has space, so he's gonna let him move in. And then Joey comes by and he's just like, "Oh, so you've got a new person, And they're kind of battling a little bit because Chandler is having his like Eddie's making Chandler breakfast, and he's like, eggs, a la Eddie." And Joey's like, "I thought you liked eggs a la me," and he goes, "Yeah, but you took your eggs and you left." And then this episode is when Joey is I think he lost his apartment. He's not on
Yeah.
Days of Our Lives anymore because he made an accidental crack about writing his own lines because
Mm-hmm.
he's a
Yeah.
goober.
That's right.
So they kill him in the elevator shaft. Um, and so it's one of those things where like he needs a place to live, and Eddie is nuts. He keeps like
Yeah. Eddie's
he keeps
bonkers.
talking about his girlfriend and how oh my gosh, because his girlfriend Tilly brings the fish tank that he left at her apartment to Chandler and Eddie's house.
Oh, I
And
forgot
he's
about
like,
that.
she's like, "Here you go." And he goes, "Okay, great." And he goes, "Can I just ask you, is Eddie a little," and she goes, "intense?" And he goes, and like they kind of bond for like a second. And then
That was
Eddie comes
good.
out, and Eddie comes out and he goes, "Hey, Tilly." And she goes, "Hey, I just wanted to bring this by. And then you'll very much so appreciate this." By the way, I didn't have to rewatch this to know all of this.
That's impressive.
Um, he brings the fish tank by and he's handing it, like Chandler's trying to hand it to Eddie, and he goes, "Where's my fish?" And Chandler goes, "I don't know. You just like," and he goes, "Where's my fish, man? Where's my buddy? My fish." That's what the fish's name is. And then at one point, Chandler goes to work. He's lose it. He's like, "I gotta get rid of this guy." And he comes back, and Eddie's put a goldfish in the tank, and he goes, "Look at him swimming around all happy." And Chandler's like, and oh my gosh, it's just so funny. And then they do something really messed up, which is where they absolutely gaslight Eddie that he's never lived there. They get rid of all of his stuff. I
Oh
have no idea
gosh,
where they
yeah.
put it. But Joey comes back and because he kicks him out. And then the next day, Eddie is there again. And one of the things he kicks him out for is that Eddie is watching Chandler while he sleeps.
Oh
And
gosh, yeah, that's right.
he's like, "You're only creeped out because you see me tonight, but what about all the nights you don't see me?" And Chandler's like, "Shut up." And then he kicks him out, and then the guy is just there the next day, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "I'm making breakfast," and he, or whatever. And Chandler's just like, "But I kicked you out." And he goes, "What? No." Like, so they have to do something different. And I think it's just one of my favorite ways to end an episode because Joey comes back, moves back in. They get rid of Eddie's stuff. I have no idea where they're putting it, but they get rid of it all. And then Eddie's trying to come in and the door doesn't work because they changed the locks. And they open the door, or Chandler does, and he goes, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "What do you mean, can I help you? Let me in. Man, what, you're being weird." And he goes, "Do I know you?" And Eddie's like, "Yeah, Chandler, I live here." And then Joey goes, like they open the door more, and he goes, "Well, that can't be right because I live here." And it's Joey, and he's
Yeah,
standing
that's
like
right.
the audience claps, and Eddie just goes, "All right, man, my bad. See you later." And then he just goes, "Yeah, see you later." And they close the door, and it's like, what?
That was so great. That was I forgot a lot of those things. One thing I
Mhm.
liked I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I
okay.
just agreed.
Sometimes I just hear things. One thing I liked, I don't know if it was probably not at that episode, it was probably the one right before them, but I remember Joey and Chandler both having some serious separation anxiety. And I think it was one of the episodes was ending, or it might have been midway through the episode, where you see them like Chandler maybe sitting in his window and there's sad music playing. I think it might be the old song All by Myself by
It
Eric
is, yeah.
Carmen. Yeah, and it's great because they're just so tight. There was jokes sometimes about them being, lovers and all that, which obviously was not the case, but they just had such a great bond, and it was so well done on the show the way they handled all that.
Now you're missing one of the details from that, which is
What's that?
that Chandler is looking out the window all sad, and Joey is looking through a rainmaker glass thing that he bought.
Oh
He's
my
not actually
gosh,
looking
yeah,
outside. He's
that's
like,
right, because he was so rich, and yeah, that
oh,
was
it's so
great.
stupid.
I forgot about that. Excellent. All right, excellent choice, Candace. Now mine is just a few episodes earlier from season two, and that is a very popular episode called "The One with the Prom Video."
Yeah, that is a top rated episode. That's
That's a
why I didn't
top-rated
choose it.
episode.
I thought it was a basic choice.
Well, it's a classic. I mean, you get to see this video of it's Monica and Rachel's prom night from when they were in high school, and we also get to see Ross in there with curly hair and a bad mustache and playing a little keyboard, playing like the Axel F song from Beverly Hills Cop, and well, it's just I don't want to go too far into it, but I'm sure anyone watching this has probably seen it because it is an iconic episode. But the ending in particular, there's a lot of funny stuff in there, but the ending in particular of that episode is one of my favorite scenes in Friends. It's after, the whole gang has watched this video together and Rachel finds out, all the things Ross did for her that particular night. And she, because he wanted to go to the prom with her, and she still ended up going with this jerk guy.
Chip,
But, huh?
Chip.
Chip, that's right. I was
She
trying to
goes
remember
with
his name.
Chip Matthews.
Man, you're good. You're good. But after this video happens, they're all in Monica and Rachel's apartment, and she does this slow walk over to Ross, who's near the door, and there's this great kiss. And it's just this very touching scene that, sometimes makes me tear up because it's just such a lovely scene.
Yeah.
And that's,
It is a top episode. Like it literally is one of the top rated episodes.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not a Ross fan. Like, do I hate him like a lot of people do? No, he's a human. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he makes so many that, like, for me now, I'll look back and I'll be like, oh, look at this heartwarming thing he did. Whatever.
Ross was difficult to like sometimes, not just because of the dorky aspects of him. Sometimes he
The
was,
dorky aspects are nothing. Like, I'm sitting next to a Lego Central Perk replica. That is not something I have a problem with. Like when they made fun of him for having his Geology Rocks backpack, which we'll do in later seasons, like that's not what bothered me. Not it was the selfishness
hmm
and he behaved as if because he liked Rachel, he's owed Rachel, you
Yeah.
know?
hmm
And
No,
once
you're
he
right.
gets her, that's absolutely the case. And like I said, it's that caricaturization of characters in sitcoms where he kind of becomes less likable as we go. Like the way he treated Mona was abhorrent.
Yeah, which one was Mona?
Mona is the one he's dating after he finds out that he's gotten Rachel pregnant. And then
Oh,
Mona sticks around and he keeps doing stuff like leaving her places because he forgets she's with him.
hmm yeah, yeah. He could be very selfish sometimes, and I know
Or
we
his
all make mistakes
incredibly,
in our lives, but
yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of times he was just very unthoughtful towards others.
Well, he's creepy. He does more creepy stuff than Joey does as like the ladies' man, guy. Cause like keep in mind when he dates one of his
I
students
thought that's what you were going
who's
to bring up. Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah. And you know how I feel about large age gaps when somebody is young. And that
yeah.
girl was what, 20,
Yes, I
maybe
think she was,
21?
a freshman or sophomore in college where he was teaching, and
Right. And then he's so like weird and clingy that he crashes her spring break.
yeah, yeah. You're right. I kind of forgot about that stuff. The thing I
It's
remember most
weird.
about that storyline is that Bruce Willis played her father.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
nothing makes me laugh harder than the fact that Rachel gets with him because that is like the ultimate like I'm gonna screw your dad type of thing. Oh
But
God, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, Ross, it was tough sometimes. I'd like him. I'd like you. I know there's a lot of people that really just flat out hate him, but I've never been in that group of people. But there were times he was probably the one that was the biggest challenge to like at times.
Yeah, and they tried to make him like they thought that it was enough to just be like, he was a dork, so he didn't get his way all the time as a kid. So, who gets their way all the time?
Yeah,
Rachel. And that
yeah,
was it because even you even see that his parents idolized him and treated Monica kind of crummy in
yeah,
turn.
yeah.
Chandler grew up with a father who had a lot of, sexual identity exploration to go
Hmm.
through and a mother who's so raunchy and public about it that that's embarrassing as hell as a teenager.
Yeah,
And Joey, he's just living his life in his little ether. Phoebe grows up homeless on the streets. Her mom kills herself. Her twin doesn't have anything to do with her. And
Marcella. Yeah,
he's the worst one. He's the whiniest. And he's like,
yeah,
my life is so hard. And it's like, okay, dude, they gave you a doctorate at what, 27? Like you're a PhD from the beginning. You're sleeping with students. You're, like you're getting prizes. You get to date Rachel, your dream girl. It's
yeah,
not like, oh, you get to date her because and you're not at her level. It's like, no, you got to date someone who you literally considered your dream girl. And then what did you do?
yeah,
What did you do with that? You threw a huge fit because she was working on herself and her career, which is totally valid. And instead of supporting her, you were whiny about it because your career and stuff is already going. And then you went and slept with someone else as soon as she asked for a break and then tried to hide it from her
yeah.
as
Was
if
it the
that's
the girl
never
who
going
worked
to
at the
come out.
copy center or something like
Yeah,
that?
Chloe,
Yeah,
the girl at the copy center.
yeah,
And so it's like, no, dude, you get everything you've ever wanted and you still mess it up.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was a struggle with him to like him.
I
Well, let's
actually like him less now that I listed all the stuff. Like,
I know I've got like several episodes here where I'm going to rave you about him in a little bit, but that's the way it is with people in real life. Sometimes we love them, sometimes we really find it hard to even look at them. But I'm going to move on to season 3 with my favorite. Oh wait,
yeah.
no, no, you've been going first, so you go ahead first with this one.
No, you go first because it's nice to like,
Get a
get to
little bit,
play
yeah.
off. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I was looking through there, and I was having a hard time actually picking a favorite from season 3, but I went with the one with the football. Thanksgiving episode, one of their famous Thanksgiving episodes where they're playing football out in Central Park.
Yeah.
I can't tell you exactly why I picked that one. Other than that, I just remember it was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing them out. There was a lot of good, funny moments in there, and I like the Thanksgiving episodes quite a bit. They did
I
one,
love
I
them.
think, every season. Maybe
Mm,
not one, maybe not the
did they
first.
do did they do one last season in season 1 or 2?
Well, this, maybe it was from
We're
3 on out, but they did a lot of them.
yeah.
Yeah, because I know I picked one of them actually for a future episode or a
I
future
love the
Thanksgiving episode.
Thanksgiving episodes.
Yeah, Thanksgiving episodes are great. I remember some big cable network here doing like the marathon of them all day on Thanksgiving, which was a lot of fun to watch one year. But yeah, that's a good one. I like that one a lot. Like I said, there's some funny stuff there. Just seeing them all, the interactions that they have in Central Park, playing the game and getting into little arguments with each other, and it was a good one. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. So like the Thanksgiving episodes in general are so much fun to me. And this one is really good because oh, you know what? Maybe the Thanksgiving episode from season 2 was the skiing one where they all get locked out of the apartment because Underdog is loose.
Oh, yes,
That
that
I
would
think
have been Thanksgiving. Yes, you're right.
that's either season 1 or season 2. So there
Yeah.
is one before this.
Okay.
I like this one too
Forgot
a
about that.
lot. I love how I love well, I love Rachel. I love Monica. I love how intense she is and how competitive she is. Like I've told you this, I'm
Yeah.
mostly a Monica, and
Yeah, I
I've
remember
got
you
like
saying
the
that.
style of a Rachel and then the weirdness of a Phoebe. So I'm a good blend, but like if
Yeah.
we're going for it, it's like 50% Monica and, 30,
Can I
20 years
interject
ago.
real quick? We talked about this before the show, folks, but the outfit that Candace has on today is very much like she could have hung out with Monica and Rachel in the first few seasons of the show in the '90s. I mean, you've got that, like you said, you've got that look.
Yeah, I mean, that's on purpose.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up. It was one of those things where like I wanted to introduce some of the aspects of my own podcast that I do,
Hmm.
which for my pop culture podcast, which is, do I say the name of it? Is
You
that rude
absolutely
or
say the name of it,
okay,
please.
yeah. I say the name. It's a Binge It Babe with Candace Estelle. That's me. And so for me, when I do books, TV, or movies, I always will try to have a meal or some food thing that is representative of the show or whatever I'm talking about. And I try to cosplay very lightly in some way so that only if you're a fan will you really get it. So like I've got more like 90s makeup going on, with like the darker, and then yeah, my black sweater, my I've actually got the pants that are very Rachel.
You're very
Um
Rachel. Yeah.
and I did try to get a pizza, but the pizza place was actually not open yet here, so I couldn't go get a pizza, but I was going to have a pizza to be reminiscent. And yeah, I got my nice gigantic mug as well. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I know you feel a certain kinship with Monica, like you said, and Rachel. They're both
Mhm.
such great characters. And Phoebe is, of course, all the characters are great, except for, we have some issues with Ross right now, but we'll love him again later on. But yeah, I think for me, it was always hard to pick a favorite friend.
It's
I think a lot,
Chandler.
huh?
It's
Probably
Chandler.
Chandler. I have some things in common with Chandler. I mean, very, very similar senses of humor, I'd say. And I don't know, maybe at that age too. Maybe when Chandler was going through like relationship issues and not seeming to think he was ever going to fall in love, it seemed like those correlated a lot with my own life back at that time in my 20s. I don't know. I felt a strong connection with him, and for the women on the show, I mean, I loved all of them, really. I knew Courtney Cox prior to Friends because I think I was crushing on her when she was in the Bruce Springsteen video in the early 80s. She was in
Oh God,
Dancing.
I thought you meant like you knew her, and I was gonna be
Oh,
like, what the hell? How did
we
you?
dated back in like 83,
No,
84.
even if you had just like met her, I would be like,
Oh, I would have led with that.
I was about to be like so surprised that you were able to keep that under your hat this long. Like, I would meet people and be like, I knew Courtney Cox. Anyway, so my teeth really hurt, and if we could take a look.
But I love. Yeah, I'll save that for some other time. But anyway, she was the one that I knew the most before the show started. But and I just assumed, okay, she's probably going to be the one that I like the most. But then Rachel was such a great character right out from the opening episode. I had never seen Jennifer Aniston in much before. I think I might have seen her in the very short-lived show Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There was a TV series based on the movie. It didn't last long at all, and she
Oh,
starred.
okay. I was gonna say, did you know her from like Square Pegs?
She wasn't in Square Pegs, I don't think.
No, is that I wasn't
Sarah
around.
Jessica Parker was in Square Pegs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
can see how you made that
Yeah.
there, but yeah, I love Monica, I love Rachel, and like you, I think we're really straying far away from the one with the football, but I think you were going to mention something there about them in that episode, or maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I don't remember. I would say that like I love all the Thanksgiving episodes. I love when sitcoms have kind of like a theme, right? Like
Hmm.
so for Bob's Burgers, we always get pretty good holiday episodes. So that's Halloween, the Thanksgiving ones, and the Christmas ones. And Friends, it's always a good Thanksgiving episode.
Hmm.
It becomes
Yeah.
a thing. If you watched Community, then there would be like almost every season there's a paintball episode,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's right.
And so I really love when they're like, "Oh, this is the thing that the audience loves, and we're gonna really put in a lot of love for it
Yeah,
every
I love
year."
that too.
For Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's like Halloween
Mhm.
episodes, And so my brain
Yeah,
is
oh
just
yeah,
like,
that's right.
"Here's
I love the
another
Halloween
example."
episodes of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, like you, there are certain holidays where or times where I'll watch certain episodes where it has to be a show that I'm very familiar with. But like, for Halloween times, I will watch all of the Bob's Burgers Halloweens and I'll watch all of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Halloweens. And then for
Fun.
Thanksgiving time, I will watch all of the Bob's Burgers Thanksgivings and I will watch all of the Friends Thanksgivings, you know? And so it's one of those like little traditions now. And it's because those are honestly the three shows I just named are some of my top, top five picks for shows.
That's
And so it's
great.
nice to have this like tradition
Hmm.
within a tradition that's from a TV show thing where I know that like other people do that because you were saying like, oh, I'll watch the Thanksgiving episodes every year or
Yeah.
around that
Yeah, and
something.
I'll
And
do
it's
that
like,
with some other things too, like even stuff I loved when I was really little. Like I remember like
mhm.
episodes of Happy Days that centered around Christmas that I will try to watch, at Christmas time. And there was a Brady Bunch episode that I try to rewatch if I happen to catch it at Christmas time. And
Yeah,
it's
sure,
nice when you
Jan.
have
We're
those kind of
definitely
traditions.
watching the same stuff.
But yeah, I love the Thanksgiving episodes too. There were so many good ones.
I don't know if you noticed, but I did slam you while still making a Brady Bunch joke.
I caught a little bit of that, and I thought I'd keep moving. I think it was a little age thing there.
Yeah, that was the slam, but I called you Jan.
Oh God, I missed that.
Sure,
So
Jan.
thanks for sharing. Oh, that's not. That's really nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, because it's only funny if I know that I am also there
Well,
with you. Like
exactly.
I
Yeah,
get
you
it.
don't want
Yeah.
to. Okay.
But yeah,
So that
okay.
was
So
it for
my
today's episode of Gotta Pop, folks. Next week I'll have on a nice person.
excuse the absolute out of you, sir. I'm incredibly nice, but it's not my fault that I'm also witty and you led me up to that. What do you want me to not say sure, Jan, with attitude
Yeah,
when you
you
bring
had
up
to
the
take
Brady
it.
Bunch?
You had to take it. I totally get it.
Okay. So mine is actually before yours for season 3 and
Okay.
it is episode 8 of season 3, the one with the giant poking device. And so this one's kind of my you know how but maybe you don't know, but it's the one where like they have the naked guy who
Yeah.
lives across from him.
Ugly naked guy. Yeah.
Yeah, ugly naked guy. I was trying to leave out the mean part, but trying to re-bring back my image. But yeah, no, they have him and he hasn't moved for a while. And so they start being nervous that he's dead. So they take
Gosh,
all
I
of
forgot
their
about this.
Chinese takeout chopsticks that everyone used to just keep all the time in the drawer and they tape them all together to fashion this like gigantic poking device that's going to go from their balcony into his apartment because he's sleeping like
Oh my
right next
gosh,
to it
yes.
to poke him to make sure that he's alive, which is hilarious. But like some of the side story to this episode is that like Joey sees that Janice is cheating on Chandler. And this is the time where Chandler is dating Janice and it's actually serious. Like the only time that that happens really. Um and this is also one where we get the adorable catchphrase Monica Bang, which
Oh.
is when Monica's playing with Ben and
Yes.
Rachel's technically watching him. And this is another time where I just think Ross is a schmuck because he doesn't want Rachel to be who's watching Ben because he's like, "Well, you're not going to be great with kids." And she's just like, "I can do it. Like it's a baby." And it's one of those things where it's like, "How would you know, dude?" Um and uh Monica is playing with him and hits his head and he gets a little welt, you know?
Oh,
And
yeah, that's right.
yeah, and then they're trying to gaslight this like baby and by like that's not what happened. Look, we all do it, and one of Rachel's best lines is when she hits her head on the same banister to like, show him that it's normal and that it's not a thing so that he doesn't bring it up, I guess. Like this 2-year-old's gonna rat you out type thing. It's so stupid. But Rachel does it and she goes, "You know what? If it's not a headboard, it's not worth it." And I was just like, "What?" It's so funny to me because it's so quick, you know? I don't
I
think a
need to
lot of people
rewatch. I forgot how funny that episode is. That is
it's
hilarious.
very funny. It's
Yeah.
very funny. And then you have Chandler who's incredibly sad. He does end up leaving Janice because he doesn't want to be who breaks up a family because he knows that guy, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
because of how his family dynamic went. And I just think it's really funny because he comes in at the very end and they've already fashioned the giant poking device and they're there to, get ready to do the poking. And they're set up and then he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And they all do it together. Like, oh, it cracks me up. And he's alive. Ugly naked guy is alive, and that's a
Yeah,
that's a good
that's
that's
right.
good.
refresh my memory. Does he die at some point? I know that
No.
eventually, okay, he just moves and that's how Ross gets his apartment. Okay.
Yes, and you should know how he gets the apartment like that. Remember how he convinces naked guy?
I don't.
Oh, that's okay. We'll discuss it.
We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it. Okay, well, excellent choice there. Let us move on to season 4.
Mhm.
And for this, I've noticed that well, I'll reveal that a little later on. It'll become self evident. But anyway, my favorites are probably at the very end of the season, and that is the one with Ross's wedding, mostly because of how it all ends. It's a pretty classic moment during Ross's wedding when well, he screws up as he's getting married, and he doesn't say the name of his bride. He says Rachel's name. It's I Ross, take thee Rachel, instead of it was Emily, wasn't it?
Mhm. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
is Emily.
Which is a pretty classic moment. And also, what's even probably better than that is that this is when Monica and Chandler sleep together for the first time. That takes place in that episode, and that was pretty epic right there. And I remember too, like anyone who watched it when it first aired, we are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this has happened between these two characters." And yeah, and from there, obviously, it went on to become a great, great romance.
The best romance
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
in the show. It's I mean, I love Mike, but, like, there's something about Chandler and Monica, and, the writers had done it as, like, a goof where they were gonna just try to make that also, like,
Mm-hmm.
a awkward thing like they do with Rachel and Ross because that's very much so a trope in sitcoms. It's like, "Let's have people sleep together and then be really uncomfortable," and it's like, "Why? Why ruin these dynamics that we love?" You know? Um, and the reason they don't do that and they end up letting it go as far as it ends up going, which is, forever dumb, is that, we loved it so much.
Yeah, exactly. They saw the audience reaction and they went with it. And I'm so glad they did because I agree with you. I mean, a lot of people will think of Friends and, the Ross and Rachel romance is one of the first things people think about because it, started at the very beginning and went all the way to the end. But this unexpected storyline between Chandler and Monica and their romance and ultimately their marriage and having children, was just unexpected and wonderful.
It's the best. It's one
Yeah.
of those things where, like, that's probably why Chandler's my favorite, and that's probably why Monica's my favorite. Like, growing up, I never wanted to be Ross and Rachel.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be Monica and Chandler, especially because I am someone who's a little more type A. So I've always been like, I'd love someone who understood me and loved and appreciated me, you know. And if you look at like earlier in this season, some of the callbacks they do, which obviously weren't even like they weren't on purpose,
Hmm.
but there are times when Chandler is, comforting Monica and I don't remember what she's upset about. Oh, her mother, I think, is just making her feel bad about no, because that's the wedding. It's
Right.
earlier on, I think, where, like, Chandler says something to her along the lines of, "You're the prettiest woman I've ever seen in real life."
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
not only do they last, but, like, spoiler alert, he has an opportunity to cheat and he doesn't and is
Yeah.
incredibly, like, staunchly against it. He would never, he's
Hmm.
loyal to a fault. He loves her for who she is. She loves him,
Yeah.
they make each other better. There's never that, like,
Yeah.
now that we're married, they're gonna behave bitter and act mean towards each other type of thing or
Yeah.
like, "Oh, she's nagging me." It's never that. It's always loving and warm, and then when they have the infertility issues, um like, his speech to Erica, which is the woman who ends up being their surrogate, where
Oh,
he's
yes.
like, "I can't give her the one thing that she needs, and she wants in this world, and that kills me because
Yeah.
I
Oh
might not
gosh.
be a
Yeah.
father, but she's already a mother."
Yeah.
And
That
that's
was
been
beautiful.
a Monica storyline from the beginning is that she's always wanted kids. The moment the Ben thing happens, she wants them. When she breaks up with Richard, she has her jam plan and she's going to have a baby and do
Yeah.
have one on her own. That's all she ever wanted. And then you get most of the way through the show and you get this devastating storyline that her womb is inhospitable and his swimmers are too slow. you also get a really good line there where she goes, "And I always try to be the best host." And I was just like,
Oh my gosh, yes. That was
I get that.
classic. That was classic.
It's so
Yeah.
classic. And then he has that speech, and they end up, being picked by the surrogate, which is Erica, which is Anna Faris,
Yeah,
you know,
Anna Faris. Excellent in that
and
role.
and I think it's really beautiful. Like they grew and it never became that bitter sitcom BS that you get used to. Or like even in The Office with Pam and Jim when they got together and then they hit that rough point. And I know that that's also real, but you
Mhm.
can have a rough point without it getting that dark, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you're absolutely
And
right.
they never ruined that relationship. They ruined Ross and Rachel. They
Yeah.
ruined Ross and Rachel in season 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It was kind of surprising, and I think some people liked it because a lot of there's always a lot of talk when it comes to TV shows how people will say shows went downhill after certain characters got together. So, I realized why they tried to keep them apart, the way they did. But yeah, a
But
lot
shows
was
don't
ruined.
go downhill. It's that people love the drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
People love the anticipation. And once the anticipation is fulfilled, the dopamine's been hit and they're
Yeah.
done because it's just here's what life would be like then. And then you get bored. And that's exactly what's wrong with relationships in
Yeah.
general is people are like, I've got my dopamine hit and now I'm moving on because I don't get that much excitement anymore.
Yeah.
And like that's another Monica and Chandler thing that happens is she freaks out about the relationship and he goes, I like where we are now. I like the warm comfort of
Yeah.
true love. And like,
Right.
so I staunchly disagree.
Yeah.
Whenever shows do that, it makes me incredibly angry. The Ross and Rachel, will they, won't they? The most annoying thing to tolerate
Yeah.
for literally a decade. And
Yeah.
so the writers owed it to us to give us Monica and Chandler, you know?
Yeah.
Just like an
Exactly.
actual loving, supportive relationship. And in the 90s, that was novel.
It was. And I like how we saw each of the characters grow in that relationship. You mentioned, the scene you just did between Monica and Chandler, where, she seemed like, something was missing and he said he liked the way it was. I remember another one too, shortly after they got together, where they had argued about something. And Chandler, being Chandler, thought that was going to be it. That was going to be the end of the relationship. And she pretty much said, I'm of course paraphrasing, but basically says, people fight sometimes. We're okay. This kind of thing happens. And I think especially younger people who are ones who are maybe newer to relationships. And I can say, I know I did the same kind of thing myself too, thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the end of the world, because there was some sort of difference. And again, growing. These characters grew together, maybe learned more about what's inside of them and to believe in themselves more. And that's quite a face there. What's going on?
Well, somebody is terrible and he is just trying to get into stuff again.
I
So-
think someone wanted to make a cameo appearance on the show with us, I think.
oh, this is Sir Charlie Pancakes. And you'll notice that over there used to be a picture. And it's not there anymore because before we started, he decided to ruin my entire backdrop and make everything fall over and break a picture frame and throw a big fit. And now he's just running back again. That's why I was watching because I was like, don't you do it. Don't start messing with stuff. You can't even see him, I bet, on the camera.
No, you can see him pretty well. And,
Oh, can you?
well, that's a pretty innocent face there. I struggle to believe any of these things you're saying about that little guy.
You were here. You saw it
I
happen.
know, I know. I was just trying to indicate how cute he is.
He's very cute, but he can be a monster.
Believe me, I have a very cute cat who is very monsteresque at times, so I can totally get what you're saying.
I mean, I'm obviously like loving on him and petting him while I'm so mad at him.
Yeah,
So
you're
he
so
gets away
horrible,
with it.
baby. You're so
You
horrible.
little bastard. Okay, go away. Go away. Yeah, so I totally agree. Sorry I got so distracted. I was really nervous he was about to come in and just wreak havoc again. But Chandler and Monica are definitely my favorite. Um, just in so many respects, as individuals and as a couple. And I think that that's good character development.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. And I am going to go now to season 5. And,
No,
I will go. And this actually relates very
but
much.
no, because we're still on season 4.
Oh, you didn't go.
No.
I am selfish sometimes, I'll tell you.
You Ross, you.
Sorry.
So I actually enjoy a lot of season 4 aside from the Emily storyline, which I just felt was very forced. Like all of Ross and Rachel's storylines this season, I found obnoxious. You
Mhm.
know, from her with Joshua, who she's
Oh,
basically
yeah.
stalking at her work, to
Yeah,
him
that's
with
right.
Emily and that like whirlwind nonsense and how Emily behaves. Because a lot of people are very mean about Emily and the fact
Mhm.
that she doesn't want him to be around Rachel anymore and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, because in front of everyone she loves and knows, he humiliated her at his wedding. And when she went to forgive him, he was still with that woman headed to their honeymoon.
Yeah.
What do you think she's going to do?
Uh-huh.
Now, now, do I agree with how she behaved in terms of like, you can't talk to them anymore? No, because I'm the kind of person who would have been like, we're done and just moved on, you know?
Mhm.
But I get it. So I hate how much hate she gets
She
for the
gets a
fact
lot of
that
unnecessary hate.
yeah, but that is season 5. So in season 4, my favorite is actually the opener of season 4. It's when they're at the beach house. And I really love
Oh.
this one. I think that is because part of it is this is one of the episodes. So I don't this is one of the episodes where Chandler is trying to convince Monica that she would go on a date with him.
Oh,
And he
I
keeps
forgot about
doing
that.
it over and over. So now with hindsight, you're just like, you guys, he was always there, like even if the writers didn't notice it, they already were dropping it, the hints there. And this is also where Ross chooses Rachel over his girlfriend Bonnie. And like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, what a mean girl move Rachel does to like get Bonnie to bless you. Um, Charlie just sneezed. Sorry, I just realized that no one else can hear that or has the context. Um, so Bonnie is Ross's girlfriend and she's super cool. She's one of Phoebe's friends. Bonnie asks Phoebe to check with Rachel beforehand if it's okay that they go out. And the only reason Rachel says yes is because she confuses who Bonnie is with, or she doesn't confuse it, but she thinks that Bonnie is bald at the moment. And
Oh,
Bonnie's hair grows back. And so
yes.
she's not. And that's part of season 3. And this is those times where I'm like, man, you're so immature, Rachel, because you could have just been honest with Phoebe. It wasn't even like you were telling Ross, been honest and been
Mhm.
like, no, I'm not ready for him to date someone else, or no. But there's that immaturity where you're not communicating. So she says yes, thinking it'll be a funny, hilarious, practical joke because Bonnie's bald. So who would want that? Which is also a weird way to behave.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, she convinces Bonnie to shave her head so that Ross doesn't want to be with her, basically. And
Yeah.
she does it. And Ross does end up breaking up with her immediately to go back to Rachel. And that's also one of those things where like this is one of the time frames in Friends that shaped one of my biggest anxieties in relationships, which is someone being with me as a placeholder for someone they actually truly want.
Mhm.
Because the Ross and Rachel thing did that all of the time.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
did.
it's one of those things like Ross and Rachel did it with Julie and then
Yeah.
did it again with Bonnie. Rachel does it with Russ and then does it with, not necessarily with Joshua, but it's always just they're always perfectly aware that these people are placeholders and they're messing with people's lives and emotions. And it's one of those
Yeah.
things where I've always been like, what if I'm not the other woman?
Right.
Because that would not be something I tolerate, but the placeholder,
Yeah.
the second place,
Yeah.
the because I can't have what I want. I
Right.
want to be someone's
Yeah,
top choice.
absolutely. That's the way it should be.
And these storylines, especially because I grew up watching this, I thought this is what it was.
Yeah.
And so I've always had that like anxiety of being
The
like,
fear that you were the one they settled for rather than be the one
yes,
you really want to. Yeah, and I think I've had that in some relationships too.
because it is a thing, but
It is a
they
thing. Yeah.
exacerbated it, and I wasn't
Yeah,
a
they
social
did.
kid. So for me, I just was like, this is how life will be, life is gonna be that way.
Right.
Um, and so it's one of those things now. It's also one of the reasons I dated my ex was because he was very, very into me from the beginning. And like someone else had told me, like, oh, he has a huge crush on you. And I thought, oh, good. I could not possibly be you know,
Mm-hmm.
the being settled for,
Right.
um, which is not a great way to like choose someone. But also, I started dating him when I was 23, so that's a long time ago. Um, so it is one of those things. I don't enjoy that storyline, is kind of my
Yeah.
point. It does end with Rachel giving Ross the 18-page letter front and back to read before he comes up and him not reading it because he's
Yeah.
selfish and then pretending instead of, you know, being honest and being like, I'm so sorry. It was 3 a.m. and I fell asleep while reading it. Communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate.
Yeah.
Take a second to be honest because what happens after is tumultuous for
Yeah.
everyone involved.
Yeah.
My
Exactly.
favorite my favorite part is that Joey, Chandler, and Monica have such a fun storyline.
Oh my
It,
gosh, they do.
it's Chandler and Monica, obviously, with the like, would you date me here? Or like this, if I was the last man on earth, all of that, which is kind of funny. But it's
There's an
where
incident.
Monica, yeah, where Monica gets stung by a jellyfish
Oh my gosh, it's
and
so funny.
she can't walk. And I think the best part is that no one wants to say what happened, the three of them. And so they're acting like they basically killed someone, and they're all like, and Joey's like, it's eating me up inside, like they break it. They're acting like it's this big thing. Monica gets stung by a jellyfish, and the placement of the sting, which this makes no sense to me, but she couldn't pee on it herself, which in the 90s it
Right.
was
She
widely
gets
accepted
stung on
that,
her foot or her
yeah,
ankle.
which you can pee on your foot easy peasy. That's why
Yeah.
I'm confused by her being like, I couldn't bend that way to pee on herself. I also want to point out to our listeners or watchers, not a thing. Urine does nothing except make that area probably more gross, depending on what your body. They have proven that that is debunked. That is a myth. Don't pee on a jellyfish sting. Um,
So I should stop offering my services to people who get stung on the beach when that
you
happens.
sound like a sicko, my friend. You're offering your services? Oh my
I'm
God.
joking, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else is watching this show.
We don't know that. Okay. I'll talk to his wife and I'll see what his beach etiquette
That's
is.
actually how we met. She had been stung on the.
Oh,
Okay, boy,
God.
this is one I'm in trouble when we watch it back together.
If you cut this, I will know and I will put you on blast. Be like, where's the golden shower bit you did, buddy? Feeling
Hey,
mighty
folks, on that note,
presidential lately,
we're
huh?
just actually just gonna pause the episode for a second. There's something I hear, like, I think something in the other room I need to check on. So if you don't mind, Candace, I'm
Are
gonna
you talking
pause.
to me? I
Yeah.
thought you were making it up so that we could get off of this topic.
It might be part of it. Anyway,
Okay, yeah.
we'll
Go
be right.
go do it.
Candace, I'll be right back.
Yes, thank you.
Audience, you're not gonna know because I'm just hitting pause. I'm just gonna go. So, obviously we're back, and thanks for still being there. And look, we have a new guest here on the show. Who do we have there, Candace?
Oh, this is Aspen. Yes, ma'am. She's needing to be held right now. This is the love of my life. I've actually had her since I was 19.
That's wonderful. Hi, Aspen.
So she says
Aspen's
hello.
beautiful.
Oh, are you beautiful? She knows. She's very, very confident.
She looks really sweet. She looks very happy there being on your lap.
She sits with me if she could all day, every day. Charlie sits next to me. She is incredibly sweet and loving towards me. She is tolerant of other people, and she is apathetic towards her brothers.
Really?
Yeah, like if sometimes Charlie will be grooming her or something very sweet, or she'll be grooming Charlie, and then all of a sudden she just goes, "You know what? I hate you," and she'll just attack him. So I always find that really funny, and she'll also attack her dog brother. Um, she's HBIC in this house,
I see. I see.
and she
Well,
knows it. Yeah. But look, if she's hugging me, like,
I mean,
what am I gonna do?
yeah, that's really adorable. I got to use that in the advertising for the episode. Get some cat lovers to watch. Oh, there we go. That's a snapshot right there.
There you go. You can take that little still. Yes, my love. So she's gonna sit here for however long she wants, because
Okay,
that's the
great.
rule. So yes, we were talking about season 4. I was wrapping up my favorite, which is the one with the jellyfish. I just love it. I love how the storytelling goes. Joey ends up not being able to do it because he offers, but he gets stage fright, which is what he says. And then Chandler, which is another one of those things that I just love that that's how that works. Chandler ends up being who has to pee on Monica to get the sting to go away. And then he brings up the wouldn't you date me if this, and she goes, "Oh, sweetie, I could never be with you because you'll always be the guy that peed on me." And isn't that just so funny because they end up together at
They end
in
up
the same
together, yeah.
season. I love it, I love it. I do need an honorable mention, though, here for the one with the embryos, which is where they impregnate Phoebe,
Oh,
and she
yes.
doesn't know if it's stuck or not, and she's sitting there and she's playing her guitar and she's singing, and it's one of these things that pops up into my head regularly now, which is a little ditty that just goes, "Are you in there, little fetus? In 9 months will you come greet us? I will buy you some Adidas." And I love it. And so I've just like I'll randomly my brain will go, "Some Adidas." So honorable mention to that moment in the show because
That
it's
was a
so
great
cute.
moment in the show. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about Phoebe yet, but oh my gosh, there's so many classic Phoebe moments and episodes. I saw this meme going around this week. I was going to send it to you where you see a picture of a cat on a stage holding a guitar and strumming the guitar, and you see lyrics underneath and it says, smelly Phoebe, what are they feeding you?" Which is, of course, a play on Smelly Cat, the classic song that
Do
Phoebe
you know
has.
all the words to Smelly Cat Aspen? Oh, I'm so sorry. She finds that song offensive
Oh, I
and
can
derogatory.
understand that. I can very
Yeah.
much understand
Apologies, madam.
that. So shall we move on to season 5?
We shall move on to season 5. Are you ready or do you want me to go?
I would like you to go, please.
Oh, well, fine then. I guess I will go. Let me look up what this one's number is. It's episode 14 of season 5, the one where everybody finds out. This
Oh,
I think this is my favorite episode, period.
that is, just in some of the research I was doing for this, that is tied, I want to say, with the finale as being the highest rated episode of the series. For some,
Really.
that was that did incredibly. Yeah, that's it. That and the final episode were the highest rated episodes of Friends. It's such a great episode.
It's one of the best ones. And we
Yeah.
were just saying how Phoebe hasn't had a lot of moments in our chats. Um, but she definitely just blows it away with this one because so for those of you that don't know, where have you been for 30 years?
And why have you been
Or
watching for the past?
yeah, 25 years for this specific episode. Um, but basically Chandler and Monica have kept it a secret that they hooked up and that they're continuing to hook up and now they're technically even dating, which is just the best. I love
It
season
is.
5 for this because
Yeah,
it's
me too.
just so indulgent in this little love story. And and Joey finds out pretty early on. He puts it together and he keeps it a secret and it's driving him crazy. And
Hmm.
then the episode before this one I want to say is the episode, or it might be this one where Rachel puts it together and and
Yes,
she's trying to get Joey to admit it, and Joey's like, "I might know something. If you know something, I might know the thing that you know."
that's right.
And then they blurt it out to each other because they do know the same thing. And then, yeah, so that is the episode before. And then Phoebe is helping Ross look at apartments. And this is when he's looking at Naked Guy's apartment, which, by the way, for that callback that we were saying we would discuss, Ross gets the apartment by being naked with Naked Guy.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. He sits,
Wow.
that's how he bonds with him to get this highly sought after, sublet in Manhattan. Um, would you like to go? Okay.
Goodbye,
Um,
Aspen.
she says farewell for
For being
Jacques.
on the show
She
today.
doesn't speak French, but she tries to be fancy. And so it's one of those things where like at the end of that episode where Phoebe is getting to see the apartment, Phoebe and Rachel go with Ross to see the apartment, which is across the street.
Hmm.
And Rachel hasn't confronted Monica that she knows. Joey didn't tell Chandler or Monica that Rachel knows, and Phoebe doesn't know.
Hmm.
And then Ross goes and walks away, and Phoebe turns and in the window sees Chandler and Monica hooking up and like undressing
Yes.
each other. And she's like, Chandler and Monica, Chandler and Monica. And then Rachel's like, I know, I know. And Joey knows, but Ross doesn't know. And she goes, you know. And she goes, I know. And then Ross comes in and he goes, hey, what's all the commotion? And they're just like, ah! And he goes, what? And she goes, we're just so excited for your new apartment. And he goes, ah!
Oh,
And
that's
like,
right. Then they
they're
all
doing
start
it.
frolicking together.
And it's so cute and so funny.
That
And
is
so
great.
then we go to this episode, which is where Rachel and Phoebe are trying their best to mess with them. And
I know
so
where you're going with this.
Joey's giving them all of the information, which is he's like, and they're like, so when they go do laundry, or when she's talking on the phone to like sad Linda from camp, or when she is busy at dinner, and he goes, yep, doing it, phone, doing it, like getting them, and they're like, and then Phoebe has the idea where she's like, they don't know that we know. And Rachel's like, woo, because Joey just wants them to be like, hey, we all know, so you don't have to pretend anymore, because he hates having a secret.
Right.
No, my love. And she's back. And so Rachel's like, oh, but I like that, like I wanna mess with them. And so she's like, but how do we mess with them? And she's like, well, if she says they're gonna go do laundry, give them a bunch of laundry to do. And then that's one of the things they do where like Monica goes, I'm gonna go do laundry. Hey Chandler, do you wanna do it with me? And Chandler goes, yeah, I'll do it with you. And that silly little double entendre thing. And then Rachel goes, oh, I have a lot of laundry. Could you help me out? That would be great. And she has this giant sack of
Oh,
laundry.
I forgot
And,
about all this.
and Monica's like, oh, yeah, but I don't have enough quarters. And then Phoebe pulls out like the biggest bag of quarters I've ever seen. She goes, I've got quarters. Like, and the fact that she's holding it in one hand is just not realistic. That thing had to have been like 25 pounds, maybe 50 pounds. I don't know. I'm bad at weighing stuff. And then she goes, great. So we're gonna be doing laundry all night. And Chandler goes, yay, all night laundry, all night laundry. So they get them there. And then what Phoebe is trying to do is freak Chandler out
Yes, this is my favorite part.
by trying to convince him that she's into him. And so she starts being like really sexual with him, where she's just like, I have the secret. Never mind. I can't tell you. I especially can't tell you. And I'm like, just come on, Phoebes, you can tell me anything. And she's just like, this might be the one thing that I can't tell you. And I'm always like, oh my God. Oh my, cracks me up so much. And then like my face is hurting because I'm laughing so much.
It was so
And
good.
then she's just like, oh, hello, Mr. Bicep. And Chandler's face is just like, what? 'Cause no one talks to him like that. And then he's like, hey, something weird happened today. Like Phoebe was hitting on me. And Monica's like, no, she wasn't. And he goes, ouch. And she goes, no, I think you're so, so hot or cute or whatever she says. You're like a little bunny. And then he's like, but Phoebe's always thought you were attractive in a sexless way. And he's like, can't hear that enough. Which is funny. And then he goes, no. Like he tells her everything that happened. He goes, then she squeezed my bicep. And she goes, this bicep? And she goes, she must be messing with us. She must know. And he goes, no. And look at my bicep. And he like grabs it and he goes, they know.
That was classic.
And then he goes, we need to go get them. And then Monica goes, well, they don't know that we know that they know. And then he goes, the missers, the messies. And then they decide to mess with them.
Right.
And so Chandler calls Phoebe and he goes, he's flirting with her and he goes, so I'd love to like get together to talk about what we were talking about earlier. And Rachel and Phoebe are together on the other phone. Monica and Chandler are there. It's so stupid because I'm pretty sure they're in the same apartment. It's not like right across the hall from each other. And he's like, he wants us to get together later. Oh, I cannot believe he would do that to Monica, you know? And then she goes, "Oh, they know. But they don't know that we know that they know that we know they know." It's
It's
just like
so good. Now I
crazy.
need to rewatch this episode. It's
You
so funny.
do,
I
because then
do.
Phoebe goes, "All right, I'll come over later." And then she says something about like, "I can't wait for all the sex we're gonna have." And he goes,
Yes.
"Yes, goodbye." Like, it's
You
something
remember
like
these
that.
very,
Like,
very well.
I mean, I didn't do that last part perfect, but the other parts I did. And so it culminates in this episode where like Joey just wants to go home and he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. And he was hoping it was over. And he comes home and Phoebe's like, "Hey, the faster I break Chandler, the faster all of this is out in the open and it's over." And he goes, "Okay, cool." And he goes, "Did you hear that?"
I did not.
"Oh, good. Okay, that's good to know." My dog just barked at my cat who is trying to open a door.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but he doesn't have the dexterity.
Well, it's funny
Anyway,
because
and
you
so
were doing all this stuff with your mouth and going like this, and I'm like, did she
yeah.
actually pull something out of her mouth and she's afraid it made noise? Like,
No,
I thought
no.
maybe you
As
had
soon as
loud
I did
food
this,
that you
my
pulled out of your
dog
teeth or
barked and
something, or
yelled. Yeah, no. No food in my mouth. I wish. I've got the fake burger and that's it. And so he goes like and like blows open all her buttons like down to here basically. And he goes, "Chandler's afraid of bras. Can't work them." It cracks me up because Phoebe comes back into the room. I kind of wish I was showing my tits now just to for the effect, not for anything else. But Phoebe comes back in the room and she walks like this, which is so bizarre. And she goes, I'm showing you my bra." And he goes, "Yes, I like it. Come come here to me, you." And she's just like, "How about I dance to you?" And she like dances in just the most bizarre way. And she's like, "So." And then she gets close to him and he goes, "Yes, so we're going to kiss now." And then she goes, "Mhm." And then Monica's in the bathroom and he doesn't know where to place his hands. That's one of my favorites where he goes, can't figure it out. And he places his hand and then she gets closer and then they like barely kiss and he goes, "All right, all right, all right, all right. I can't do it." And Monica's so competitive that that's why she won it because she wants to win because she always has to win. And he goes,
Yes.
"I can't do it." And she goes, "Ah," and why not? And he goes, "Because I'm in love with Monica. I love Monica." And that's when Monica comes out of the bathroom and he goes, "That's right. I love her. I love her. I love you. I love you, Monica." And that's when she goes, "Love you too." And that's like
It's
their
so
first "I
sweet.
love you." And it's
Yeah,
so wonderful and
it was
perfect.
really
And
wonderful.
then Phoebe's like, "Aw, I thought you guys were just doing it. I didn't know you were in love." And then Rachel comes in and Joey comes in and they're all like happy and hugging. And then Monica and Chandler go, "But Ross doesn't know, so we'd love it if you don't tell him." And Joey's just like, "Ugh." And then the end scene to that in the first like intro to the next episode is also brilliant because it ends with them once again getting frisky in front of their windows because apparently curtains didn't exist in the 90s. And it's Ross sees it from across the hall and he's like, "Hey." And Ross has just gotten in trouble in an episode previously for his rage, which is so silly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so he's not got his rage in control at this point, and he runs across the hallway and he's banging on the door. And he's like, "Chandler, I saw what you were doing. I saw what you were doing to my sister." And then Chandler starts getting dressed again, and Monica's also trying to get dressed really fast. And he goes, "So that was great. We had a nice run. What, 3, 4 months? That's more than some people have in a lifetime. Anyway, okay, cool, bye." And Monica like kisses him and is like, "Calm down. I've got Ross. I can handle Ross." And she's buttoning her shirt. She buttons it like sideways and she opens the door. She opens the door and she goes, "Hey, bro, what's up?" In
It's
no world
hilarious.
does Monica say, "Hey, bra," because that's not her. And then it's so good.
It's so,
Um,
so good. There's
and
so many
that's the
good moments in
reenactment.
there. And would you say?
I said, and that's the reenactment.
It was very, very impressive, my friend. And I'll tell you, the whole thing was great. But those scenes between Matthew Perry and Lisa Kudrow were just they were both so funny. I think Lisa often doesn't get the credit she deserves for just how great she was as Phoebe. Oh my God, so very funny, so very funny.
I don't know if she doesn't get the credit. I just think it's that in the 90s, we still pretended like it wasn't six leads. But if you watch it, it's six leads, you know? And it's
Hmm.
just who's your favorite?
Yeah,
Because they want our favorite to be Ross and Rachel. That's the
yeah,
main thing. And they even talk about this in the writing. They're like, in the first season, we thought that it was Ross and Rachel. That's the thing. And everyone else is there, but
yeah,
backup. And as the seasons go on, it evens out.
yeah. It does. It does.
Yeah.
Good
And so at
call.
this point, I think it's pretty even. And like,
Yeah.
that's some comical genius right there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna rewatch that episode probably this afternoon when we're done.
Good for
So
you.
let's go into season 5.
Season 5. We just did season 5. It's your turn to do yours.
Yeah, but that was season 4, wasn't it?
It was not. I just did my season 5. My season 4 was the jellyfish.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize. Okay, so mine is. I was kind of hinting before that I had a pattern developing with things, and that is that multiple things on my list are season finales. And for season 5, I love. There's a lot I love in season 5, including what you just shared. But the one in Vegas, the
Mm-hmm.
episodes 23 and 24 of season 5. There's so many great moments in those. One of my favorite Joey scenes ever is in this episode. I don't know if it's part 1 or part 2 of this, but throughout this, Joey feels like he is struck gold because he has found his hand twin, who is a blackjack dealer there in Vegas. He's in Vegas because he was supposed to film a movie there, and they had to stop production. And he stayed there, and he was working. What was he dressed as, a gladiator, I guess, or
He's a
something?
gladiator because he's working at Caesar's Palace. And his
That's
hand
right. That's
twin is Mr. Lennon from Reno 911.
Yes, yes, Thomas Lennon, who actually subsequently years later ended up working with Matthew Perry on The Odd Couple TV series. They were the start in that together. But anyway, he is his hand twin, and there's a scene. I don't know why it makes me laugh as hard as it does, but it will always make me laugh a lot when Joey starts singing a little routine to Thomas Lennon, just explaining just how beneficial this could be to the world of entertainment and the world in general, that they are hand twins, where he's singing, he's playing off the old, this land is my land, this land is your land song, but it's like, this hand is my hand, oh, this hand is your hand, oh no, wait, it's my hand, and he just keeps going back and
No,
forth.
wait, it's your
No,
hand.
wait, it's your hand, and it's just ridiculous. And again, I don't know why it makes me laugh as hard as it does, but it's one of my favorite Joey moments ever. I love
Well, and I
that.
think
Go ahead.
what's really great about this like part of the storyline is that no one gets it, but he tells Phoebe, and Phoebe's like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky! Congratulations!" And
I
she's
know.
so loving and supportive, and I love their friendship.
Me too. Me too. And then she pretends to be a stranger named Regina Phalange.
Hmm.
And it's just so silly. And then there's other great things throughout these episodes too, including oh my God, I love. Well, Ross and Rachel ended up both getting very, very drunk. But there's a scene where Rachel is drunk, and I guess Joey's trying to test how drunk she is, and he pulls his, hey, how you doing? And she's like, I'm good, baby. How you doing? And it's just great.
Yes.
It's so perfect. She delivers that line perfectly. And then the end, of course, a drunk Ross and Rachel ends up, eloping, and they don't even really realize what happened until later on. But that was the season finale, and again, everyone was like, "Wait a second, what? They just got married," and it was excellent.
Well, the big foil to that is that Chandler and Monica are considering eloping that entire
Yes,
time as well.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And then they decide not to because, well,
They want it to not feel rushed.
yeah, exactly. And it's just there's just a lot of funny moments throughout them. And then there's a whole thing with Phoebe. She has this lurker, this old lady with the slot machines, and it's really funny.
Phoebe classically gets kicked out of a casino, which is just so
Yes.
funny. And then I think one of my favorites though is like Chandler and Monica again when when they're grabbing the something blue and they go to borrow that
Oh,
sweatshirt and they
oh
do plan
gosh.
on bringing it back and she puts it in her dress and she goes, Oh, and Chandler goes, one thing at a time, please.
I forgot about that. That part was great. Yes,
Apparently, I've forgotten almost nothing of the
apparently
show.
not. So, yes, those were our favorites from season 5. And, at the beginning of the show, it kind of indicated that we were going to cover all 10 seasons of Friends. But it went on a little longer than
We're
I thought.
chatty.
We were chatty, and if anyone has experienced our other episodes where we talked about Twister and Twisters, you may already be aware that we can go down rabbit holes with things. And so what we decided to do during that little pause that we did earlier was we're going to break this into 2 parts. So this now will be the end of this first part where we covered the first 5 seasons of Friends, and in part 2 we're going to cover the remaining 5 seasons. So, and I'm hoping in part 2 we see maybe a return of your little friends there, of Aspen
Of the
and
cats?
yeah, Aspen and Sir Charlie Pancakes, right?
Well, you must have missed it. She was just in the
Oh
frame.
no, I did. I'm just saying
Okay.
for part 2 because I want people to come back and maybe some cat lovers
Oh,
will be like,
right. Yeah, I mean, I'll just cover myself in catnip and do a little dance and
okay. All right, get the catnip ready, and we'll be recording that soon. And folks, I hope you enjoyed this part of Gotta Pop, and I hope you come back.
there's no way they didn't. At one point I did a dance.
Yeah. Highest rated episode ever. I'm calling it now. This is going to be a big
Yeah.
one.
We
Yeah.
talked about boobies then at least twice in this season, in this episode. And boobies bring people in.
Truer words were never spoken. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching this one, folks. And please come back again very soon for part 2 of the one all about Friends.